Hey guys, today we're way out here in the vast sandy deserts of southern Arizona to explore the remains of what was once a bustling transportation route. As a matter of fact, the highway was so important and it cost so much money to construct that it was once known as Arizona's $1 million highway due to its high price tag that exceeded $1 million. It's wild to think that this was once a busy highway. Yeah, this now abandoned portion of the highway was once part of the busy US Highway 60. And it was originally constructed in 1922, in part, interestingly enough, by using convicts as laborers for cheap labor. And this highway helped to connect the towns of Superior and Miami, Arizona. And so once completed, this highway allowed drivers to cut the time that took to travel between Phoenix and Miami from an entire day to just 3.5 hours. And there's a car at the bottom. That's crazy. Look at that. From what I understand, the entire portion of the highway is about a 4-mile round trip hike. And of course, driving on it would be literally impossible due to its current condition. Yeah, before the highways around here were constructed, this would have been truly treacherous terrain to traverse. Can you imagine having to walk through that without the use of any roads? That's quite a fall there. I hope this original highway had a railing back in the 1920s.
After some research, I realized that there were railings, but only in a few very specific locations, like bridges.
This was the original claypool tunnel. Basically, it was just cut right through the rock using explosives. And compared to today's standards, it's a pretty primitive tunnel because it didn't have any reinforcement. It was just basically blasted right through the rock. Pretty large, pretty impressive. That's crazy to think that this tunnel was completed about 100 years ago. A lot of families would have probably gone through it on their way to vacations or some other kind of trip. My guess is it would have been a much rougher journey with this highway as opposed to our current highway system. So this now abandoned claypool tunnel was erected in 1926 to improve the route between the two towns of Superior and Miami, Arizona. And the tunnel would go on to remain in use until it was finally replaced by the much more efficient Queen Creek Tunnel in 1952, thus upgrading from a simple hole in the rock type tunnel to a more modern tunnel in the process. Yeah, and that over there in the distance is the modern Queen Creek Bridge. And as we go further, we're going to see the old Queen Creek Bridge. That is no longer in use anymore. Wow, not sure what's down there, but there's like a bunch of large metallic objects there at the bottom. Maybe machinery of some kind, but it's hard to tell from here. Yeah, and once you exit the Claypool Tunnel, you can see Apache Leap, which got its name from a group of Apache Indian warriors who jumped to their death from up there rather than being captured by the US government. So definitely this place has a lot of history from well before the time of the highway. Man, one thing I'm noticing about this highway is that it's so narrow. You know, yeah, I know that it's decaying and everything, but it's still so narrow compared to our current highways. Yeah, no, you definitely would not want to drive this now. There has been no maintenance for years, and as you can tell, there's been rock slides, there's vegetation now. I wouldn't be surprised if part of the highway has crumbled down into the canyon due to erosion. So yeah, basically this whole abandoned portion of US 60 was actually still drivable for many years after its abandonment. But it's now obviously not drivable anymore due to the complete lack of maintenance, erosion, and vegetation encroachment on the concrete. So the abandoned highway is now passable only on foot or on a bicycle. You can start to tell now that it's definitely the worse for wear now after all these years of exposure to the elements. Look, there's actually still some original concrete left here, but it's in very poor shape. It's quite a fall. So yeah, someone took the liberty of just leaving their bumper here.
In some areas like this one, the old abandoned portion of Highway 60 actually goes almost parallel to the modern highway up above, which is probably how the bumper ended up being tossed down here in the first place. As I mentioned earlier, this abandoned portion of US 60 was actually still physically drivable for many years after its closure, but is now no longer drivable due to a lack of maintenance, erosion, and vegetation encroachment on the concrete. So the abandoned road is now only passable by foot or bicycle, and is actually now open as a hiking trail with spectacular views. Unfortunately, after some hiking, I reach a point where the rest of the trail is closed for construction of the modern segment of the nearby Highway 60. So I hike back the way I came and drive to the other end of the hiking trail to see if it's open on that side, hoping to at least be able to get to the old Queen Creek Bridge before reaching the construction closure area once again. But as it turns out, getting my footage will not be that easy.
So it looks like access to the old abandoned Queen Creek Bridge is closed off to the public right now. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to walk on it in person, but we still have the drone. So I'm going to get to a good vantage point and fly around it so you can see the beauty of the old Queen Creek Bridge with your very own eyes.
According to the Arizona Department of Transportation, this original road and the associated bridges were done under the auspices of Lamar Cobb, Arizona's first state engineer who also planned the state's initial highway system. It was one of the most difficult road building tasks the young state had done up to that time, and the subsequent road has been described as a winding ladder. The bridge served motorists for nearly 30 years before a post-World War II population boom called for new, wider road alignments on major highways. In order to accommodate a wider road, US 60 had to be moved to a higher elevation, and that meant new bridges. Eventually, the new graceful steel arch bridge over Pinto Creek, which the Arizona Department of Transportation is currently replacing, opened in 1950 with the new Queen Creek Bridge opening in 1953. So maybe the bridge replacement explains the construction work that's closed some of the trails for the time being. These highways and tunnels were created in such a beautiful, awe-inspiring setting that they lend credence to the popular phrase that sometimes life isn't just about the destination, but the journey itself.
So there you have it, guys. The old Queen Creek Bridge and the old Claypool Tunnel on this amazing abandoned part of Highway 60 that was so important for the drivers of the 1920s and onward. Hope you guys enjoyed the adventure. If you liked the video, please don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you on my next adventure.
If you're interested in hiking this trail yourself at your own risk, here's some more information. On one end, the trail begins on a small, unnamed scenic overlook right off of US Highway 60, as shown here on Google Maps, before winding down the majestic mountains towards the riverbed below, and ending up in the town of Superior, Arizona, at a spot Google Maps designates as Magma Avenue Trailhead. Keep in mind that parts of the trail may still be temporarily closed to the public due to the ongoing construction. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.